Today I have something that is, I would say, a subject that is just starting to develop, at least for copyright lawyers, not so much for hackers and development, because the question of machine learning and copyright seems to me something that is just beginning to evolve and people starting to have a closer look. And additionally, we have here something specific that the legal situation in European Union and other countries, in particular the US, might be quite different. So, have you found my slides? Okay, just a moment. I've never seen my slides on such a big screen, so I'm curious about it. So, in the meanwhile, perhaps Thomas already mentioned that a little bit about myself. I'm mostly specialized in free and open source licensing matters. I co-founded IFROS, and you'll find that here. Wow, that's a different typo, but well, probably I used one that was unknown and well, interesting one. So IFROS is Institute on Legal Questions of Free and Open Source Software, is founded in the year 2000, and this is a private research institute, but is not only restricted to free and open source software, but also to other copyright matters, patent law, also legal activism and the patent directive and many other things as well. But now coming to my talk, and I took it seriously, the 10 minutes, so it's really a starting point for further discussion. It's about machine learning, and of course, this is one area of artificial intelligence. Is a huge field of different technologies. Yeah, so I'm picking one of them to have a little bit a closer look on that, and that is deep learning. So what is happening here? Deep learning means that you are writing a software, and this software is intended to learn, and this is mostly based on a technical system that is working a little bit like a human brain. So there are connections between neurons, and to make this software better and better, it has to learn like a child. And how is a child learning? You are explaining something. This is a guy. This is a camera. You're showing things, you're explaining things. This is no coincidence that the child is here, by the way. How to train that? And this is, for example, two very well-known example is speech recognition and also visual recognition. So I'm looking here more into visual recognition. Speech recognition, you know that from systems like Siri or others, they learn by understanding, by hearing, and are getting better and better. So visual recognitions are using databases mostly. There are also different systems, but for deep learning, they use databases to show the software what is happening. For example, what is a dog, what is a person, urban street scenes we have here, and also videos are used in databases. So the ones I have mentioned here from ImageNet and others are intended to be databases to enable software to learn about what it is. So if we have a look here, this is from ImageNet. You can see on the left-hand side, there is a lot of metadata, and on the right-hand side, you will see images. Images here about a certain kind of animals. So this is too small to see it, but these are horses. So different pictures of horses collected in the internet, mostly from Flickr, Creative Commons like Wiki Commons and other platforms, and they are put in this database with a lot of additional metadata. So you can not only know it's a horse, but a horse is an animal. So it's also an animal and is a working animal. So you have different kinds of hierarchy that is used in this metadata. So this is from Princeton University. Or this is from Max Planck, is about scenes in streets, and of course this is intended for autonomous driving, that the car can recognize what is happening, what is going around in the street. And they have, you can see they have indicated persons, signs, stuff like that. So software is learning by showing them pictures, video, other stuff. Coming now to copyright law, what's going on there? And that's something that's quite interesting, because you have different rights involved. Of course, you have on the one side the software that is copyrighted, but you have also the databases with the images and the videos. And these databases with the images, they have also protection that is twofold. You have on the one side the copyright in the picture, the copyright in the video. In a side remark, in Germany, any and every picture is protected because we have a neighboring right for pictures that have not the necessary creativity for full copyright protection. And the only difference to this right is it's restricted to 50 years, but well, still this is quite a long time, and in any other regard it's treated like normal copyright. So you have the copyright in those single images, but additionally you have a right, a sui generis right in the database with all these images and metadata. So for any reuse, you will need not only the right from the person that has taken the picture, for example, or created the video, but also from the database producer and the owner of the database rights. And perhaps not all of you are so familiar with this database rights, which comes from the year 96 from the European Directive 96/9 EC. I would say this one was quite a failure, and it's much too broad, and anything is covered by these database rights. So here is a little bit of legal text. You can see objection of protection is a right for the maker of the database. That means not for creativity, but for a financial invention, financial investment. You can see qualitatively and or quantitatively a substantial investment in obtaining verification or presentation of the content. And that is happening with all these databases I mentioned. If you provide databases, if you provide metadata saying this is an animal, this is a working animal, this needs a kind of investment into time, not only money, also into time, though these databases are protected. And here is a definition of database. So this is very, very broad. Anything collection of data you can find not only in a technical sense, could even be an analog one. In the US, for example, the situation is a little bit different. You have no sui generis right for databases. You have general copyrights, so compilations might be protected under copyright law, but only if they are original creative expressions. So with big collections of images and videos, this is not very probable that you have a creative impact, though there's a court decision about that. So that means that most database owners in the US are using contractual systems to restrict the use of the database. And of course, as you know, contractual restrictions are only relevant for those who are contractual partners, but not for third parties. So this is actually quite different from a copyright similar right like the database right. And so the questions that are coming out of that is, if I have two different rights and I want to use it, how is the impact of the software? The software is trained by the use of the database and the images, but it does not contain artifacts of it. So they are not images within the software. So the question is there any legal relationship? Is it possible for the owner of the database to restrict the use of the software? So most of the data sets are for non-commercial use only. Can you use the trained software? Is there any restriction, for example? So these are starting to be questions. So there's a lot of things are new. So hopefully you can use that as a starting point, considering how is copyright used for that. Other questions are software that is trained. Is that still something that is owned by person? Is that copyright protected? Things like that. So I think there's a lot to discuss. Thank you very much.